Good morning, Prairie family, friends, and guests. Thank you for coming on this wonderful summer day. And we're going to start by singing hymn number 368, Now Let Us Sing. I did some research on this, and this is one of those hymns that the origins seem to be lost in the mists of time. It is a popular gospel hymn, which we have converted for our use in the Unitarian Universalist Church. But if you look it up on YouTube, you'll see many different versions. So let us now join in singing, Now Let Us Sing.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith
Now
within.
let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope
Now
within.
let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not
Now
afraid.
let us
Sing to the power of the hope
Now
within.
let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love
Now
within.
let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love
Now
within.
let us sing.
Sing to the power of the joy
Now
within.
let us sing.
Sing to the power of the joy within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within.
Going to introduce this next hymn with words by Kelly Walker. There is More Love Somewhere is an African American hymn reminding us that no matter what our personal circumstances, focusing on the healing potential of love helps us to go on. For the purposes of classifying this tune, it was given the name Biko in honor of South African activist Steve Biko, who founded the South African Student Organization. He was beaten to death while being interrogated after his arrest in 1977. His courage to work for freedom continues to inspire us in the ongoing fight against injustice in all its forms. Please rise in body or spirit as we join together in singing, There is More Love Somewhere.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Our call to worship was written by Chip Roush, called Transfiguring Love. Deeper than DNA, more fundamental than molecules or quarks. At our living core, we are wholeness and transfiguring love. We often forget that power, becoming lonely or resentful, comparing ourselves to others, acting out of our fears, rather than living out our glory. Occasionally, we rouse from our trance to remember our wholeness. For a time, we embody unsentimental love. We make efforts to wake others and to remain fully present ourselves. Our lives and our time here together are made sacred by our striving. For the next hour and for the rest of our lives, may we be more aware of the spirit of life evolving through and among us. So may we be.
Good morning. My name's Dom, and I'm your worship associate this Sunday. We hope you feel welcomed and a sense of inclusion today as we engage our new temporary service format. Whether you're from Parker, Colorado, or wherever you are in the world, you're welcome here. We'd like to send a special welcome to visitors to our service and hope that you'll go to our website, www.prairieuu.org, click the Welcome to Prairie, and complete our online guest registry. I would also like to welcome our siblings from the Castle Rock UU community. If you're new to Prairie UU or a longtime member, we hope you enjoy our service today. We want you to know that we're here and we thank you for coming. Allow me to introduce you to two of our leadership core teams, our Caring Circle and our Membership Committee. Our Caring Circle is comprised of a number of members who are dedicated to helping our members in times of need with meal trains, sending cards, help with transportation, and more. If you have a need or can offer assistance in any of these areas, contact me or a member of the Caring Circle at caring@prairieuu.org or at prairieuu.org/caring. Our Membership Committee welcomes visitors to our community, helps new members of our community to connect and get involved, and keeps our membership data up to date and much more. Again, if you have any need in contacting a member or would like more information on becoming a member, please contact a member of our Membership Committee at membership@prairieuu.org or at prairieuu.org/welcome. The Caring Circle and Membership Committee are always available to each of you for questions, comments, and kudos. Please don't hesitate to talk to them after service during fellowship hour.
Good morning. Join me as we start our service with words from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can. Our beloved community is not built on a creed, but on a covenant to live together in relationship. And our chalice is a symbol that we are connected with the larger UU community. Let us reflect together on these words from Katie Galfand as we light the flame of our chalice.
We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude. as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us.
Morning, Prairie. Everybody gather around. Time for all ages. We're talking about love today, and there are all types of kinds of love and ways to show love. And a book today that's called If You Plant a Seed. It's by Kadir Nelson. He wrote it and did the illustrations. I really like the pictures in this book. I hope you do too. But it's about how we can show love to our plants, animals, friends, family. And one of those ways is certainly by sharing. So after you watch the story today and hear it, I'd love for you to get with your family, talk about it, talk about how you might share things and show your love. And I hope you enjoy it. Have a good day. Bye.
If You Plant a Seed. Words and Paintings by Kadir Nelson. Read by Mr. Bragg. If you plant a tomato seed, a carrot seed, and a cabbage seed, in time, with love and care, tomato, carrot, and cabbage plants will grow. If you plant a seed of selfishness, in a very short time, it will grow and grow and grow into a heap of trouble. But if you plant a seed of kindness, in almost no time at all, the fruits of kindness will grow and grow and grow. And they are very, very sweet.
Prairie's covenant defines our beliefs about the relations we want to have with members of our church, our larger community, and the world. Please think about the ways that you can promote kind, loving relationships with others in these times of stress. Think about the families who are making hard choices now about whether or not to let their children go back to school in person. But also think about those families who, because of necessity, do not have that choice. They do not have caregivers, and their children must go back to school in person. Please think about people who work in the education system and are having to make hard choices about the role that they will play and the implications of those decisions on their lives and their families. Please think about the frontline workers, the medical workers, the law enforcement workers, and the firefighters who are putting their lives on the line and the lives of their families on the line as they make decisions about how they can protect our health and safety. Please think about those who have been profoundly and cumulatively impacted by systematic racism in our country for hundreds of years. Please think about those who have had their lives and their livelihoods disrupted from the economic chaos caused by this pandemic. Please think about ways that you can build and nurture right relationships through random acts of kindness and love. How can you show your gratitude, your compassion, and your love? Please join me as we read Prairie's Covenant, which defines how we want to be in right relations with ourselves, our community, and our world. We covenant to be a welcoming and loving community, offering each other fellowship, sanctuary, and a joyful spirit. We seek justice and peace in all our deeds and relationships, and we respect and honor both the individual and the collective search for sacred meaning and truth. We revere and celebrate the diversity of our earth and are guided by the spirit that connects all life as we reach out to offer our best to ourselves, our community, and our world.
Our call to worship was written by Chip Roush, called Transfiguring Love. Deeper than DNA, more fundamental than molecules or quarks. At our living core, we are wholeness and transfiguring love. We often forget that power, becoming lonely or resentful, comparing ourselves to others, acting out of our fears, rather than living out our glory. Occasionally, we rouse from our trance to remember our wholeness. For a time, we embody unsentimental love. We make efforts to wake others and to remain fully present ourselves. Our lives and our time here together are made sacred by our striving. For the next hour and for the rest of our lives, may we be more aware of the spirit of life evolving through and among us. So may we be.
This morning, we'd like to welcome back Reverend Angela Henderson into our pulpit. The Reverend Angela Henderson currently serves as a hospital chaplain at Lutheran Medical Center in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. She earned her Master of Divinity at Claremont School of Theology. She also holds a Bachelor of Science in IT Management and a Bachelor of Fine Art and Graphic Design. She has served as the sole minister of a small and historic congregation in California, and as the social justice and pastoral care minister of a multi-campus congregation in Texas. She loves to sing and is a proud member of the Denver Women's Chorus. She now resides in Westminster, Colorado with her wife Letitia and their 3 fur babies.
We gather this morning at the same time as countless others gather as communities of faith. Unitarian Universalists alone come together every Sunday in over 1,000 congregations. And many of them will recite together something called a unison affirmation that goes like this. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. We can find these words printed in the back of our gray Singing the Living Tradition hymnal, where we keep so many of our sacred texts. These words were written originally as a covenant. In other words, a promise that James Vila Blake's congregational members made to one another each Sunday morning, starting in 1894. So it's a worthy exercise, I believe, to explore exactly what we might be promising each other when we invoke the word love. The word love alone is such an elusive term that poets, philosophers, theologians, and musicians have spent many hours trying to grasp. And each person, and every person since our birth, often yearns for love's embrace. Love has been the subject of so many pop songs that it's a difficult task to even talk about it without conjuring up the title of a song or two, or three, or four. What is love? I was hoping to find a book that explored the history of love and its meanings. One might argue that certain religious texts are books about love. The ancient Greeks loved the idea of love so much that they had many words for it. But I finally remembered a song in the midst of all this searching by Peter Gabriel, whose lyrics said, and I quote, "The book of love is long and boring," end quote. So that was enough for me to stop searching immediately for that definitive book and then explore a lot of different thinkers on the subject. And we can just as easily explore wisdom about love from great teachers like the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, the prophets of the Jewish Torah, or some of today's teachers like Brené Brown, who are helping us discover how shame affects our relationships and how vulnerability can bring us closer. Jesus, too, taught about what it means to love and to be loved. Love is elusive, I believe, because it isn't necessarily something one can fully grasp simply by reading it. Love must be lived. And as we experience joys and deep, deep sorrows, our hearts break, but they also scar and they heal. And our understanding of love deepens too. We still have so much to learn about love. When watching the evening news, it's easy to wonder if love will ever prevail. When the simple act of wearing a mask to save our neighbor is just too much to ask. When our government sends unmarked troops to tear gas protesters who are calling for accountability for those given badges and charged to protect us. We live with the knowledge that in our name as U.S. citizens, there are children who will never see their parents again, simply because they had the audacity to flee the violence in their own land, to seek freedom in ours. When it became apparent that many of us would need to stay in our homes to flatten the curve of the pandemic, radio and television hosts began interviewing specialists that talked about the new dynamic of being at home. They talked about concerns of an increase in domestic violence and unreported child abuse. And please, if you have concerns about domestic violence, please don't hesitate to find a safe way to seek out help. And if the time is not right now, please do it when you can. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is one option. There may also be local services in your area. Please get help. Your life is worth it. What did James Vila Blake mean when he wrote, "Love is the spirit of this church"? In the context of these words, one might describe spirit as maybe a sort of animating force. Is love the animating force when we gather together on Sunday morning? I like to think it is. Love is the spirit of this church. Try not to get hung up on the word church. It's okay that congregation or gathering might feel more authentic to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. Love is the spirit of our coming together. This reminds me of a story I love dearly about the beginnings of a formal Unitarian presence in what would become the United States of America. Alice Blair Wesley shared about it in her 2000 to 2001 men's lecture. The lay people, she talks about, who started the congregation, did something exciting. And for them, it was a bit new, maybe. Instead of going to scripture or to a creed for their foundational mission, they started holding these conversations and turning to one another. They held a number of conversations over time and discovered what mattered most to them. And what mattered most was this, and I quote, "Members of their new free church should be joined in a covenant of religious loyalty to the spirit of love," end quote. They wanted to join together in a promise that they would have loyalty to the spirit of love. When they first became First Church Dedham in Dedham, Massachusetts, they recited these words in their covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. And they recited it every Sunday. Love and loving conversations became the method by which they landed on their message, on their mission of love. Central to their conversations were topics of love. Words that repeated themselves over and over again were love and affection. Love matters so much that this newly formed free church stated that their very integrity depended on it. They said, and I quote, "The integrity of the free church comes down to our loyalty to the spirit of love at work in the hearts and minds of the local members," end quote. How beautiful is that? But still, what is love? Some of you might be familiar with Gary Chapman's work on love languages. He shares a theory that has been helpful for a lot of married couples or people anticipating getting married. It also, I think, helps with working relationships or friendships or relationships with family members. His theory is very, very briefly something like this. Each one of us is walking around with something like a gas tank, except instead of gas, it holds love. To keep us running smoothly, we need to have a certain level of love in this tank. If it is full, we are revving our engines, we're ready to go for pretty much whatever comes our way. And if it's halfway, we might start thinking about needing a refill soon, but we're doing all right. However, if the tank is low or if it's empty, it's hard to get out of bed in the morning. We have a hard time thinking about or doing the things that we need to do during the day. Our mind is foggy. We might eat too much or not enough. These are just examples. It might be a little different for you or for someone you love. So the natural question in all of this is, how does my tank fill up? Well, we can fill our love tanks by sharing love with others and receiving love from others. It fills up when we share. Sounds easy enough, right? So here's the tricky part. There are different ways of showing love, and sometimes people have tanks that prefer certain ways. Gary Chapman says that there are 5 love languages: quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, touch, and gifts. So imagine in your mind there is a person named Shelley and a person named Joe. Now, if Shelley loves to give gifts as a way to show love, but Joe's love tank prefers words of affirmation, Shelley can buy all the presents in the world, but Joe may still not feel like Shelley loves him at all. However, if Shelley tells Joe that she thinks he is a talented photographer, that will actually fill his love tank a little bit. So it matters the form of love that is given and received. Think about a time when you personally have felt truly loved. Was it sitting at the kitchen table with your grandma, spending quality time listening to one another? Were you working with a group on a house for Habitat for Humanity? Or was it a warm hug at just the right moment? Or a trinket from your friend who was on an adventure and saw it and thought they had to get it for you? Whether we are giving or receiving, we can feel love. Each of us can feel love in any of these languages. It's mostly a matter of understanding that the way we give love matters if we truly care, if the other person is able to receive it. It also matters that we understand that someone may be trying to show us love in a way that is not our preference. If you're interested in knowing more about Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, you can actually Google 5 love languages and you might see the book. You can also click on a link and take a quiz. which I always enjoy, to get to know more about you or your loved one and their preferences for love languages. You can change it up and mostly find out how you can best serve one another in love. As religious people, we are also concerned with the greater world. We turn our attention to the needs of the earth, our home. We see a need for greater equity and justice in our relations. Social commentator, essayist, memoirist, and poet Bell Hooks is a feminist theorist who speaks on contemporary issues of race, gender, and media representation in America. She's an excellent resource. She proposes an ethic of love as a counter to a pervasive ethic of domination in our world today. We see the ethic of domination in instances of imperialism, racism, sexism, and classism. She says, without an ethic of love shaping the direction of our political vision and our radical aspirations, we are often seduced in one way or another into continued allegiance to systems of domination. In other words, the ethic of love focuses our minds so that we don't go astray and get seduced into dominating or oppressing one another. She goes on to say that it's entirely possible to be opposed to one type of domination while unconsciously bolstering up another. But an ethic of love demands that we fight all systems of domination. An ethic of love demands that we care if people are exploited or oppressed. Bell Hooks notes that the song, "What's Love Got to Do With It?" isn't really about love at all. The answer to what's love got to do with it is a flat out nothing. The lyrics themselves talk about transactional relationships instead of love. She describes this as a system of exchange around desire, mirroring the economics of capitalism. It's a lot for the brain to process, so I'm going to repeat that one more time. Bell Hooks says that it's a system of exchange around desire, mirroring the economics of capitalism. You get this, and I get that. That's not love. No wonder she sounds so disillusioned singing the song. And many people related to it at the time. Released in 1984, What's Love Got to Do With It was Tina Turner's first and only song to reach #1 on the Billboard charts. This is nothing against Tina Turner. I think she's amazing. But it does say that she was able to speak to the zeitgeist of the time. An ethic of love reminds us what is important above all in our methods and in our message. Remember our meditation today from 1 Corinthians? The Apostle Paul basically told the people of Corinth that if he had the power to speak all languages of all people on earth, if he had the power to tell the future, even if he tried to be really good and give away all he had to the poor, or if he suffered physically, none of that would matter if he didn't have love. He wrote, Quote, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. All of those superpowers don't mean a thing. They will go away eventually. But love is everlasting. A conversation with anyone who has experienced the death of a loved one knows that love transcends space and time. And so I ask, what is love to you? How does love move you? How does the eternal aspect of love have a hold on you? Finally, I'd like to share what I experience as a more contemporary version of the Apostle Paul's words. These were published in the UUA's worship website, attributed to an author named Enfleshed. I love this name because religion has such a difficult history of violence and shame around the simple experience of having a body. Bodies are the vessels in which we can experience love and give love. Here are the words of Enfleshed. Love cannot be bought or sold. It does not make a profit. Love does not hide from truth. Love dives deep. Love takes on flesh. Love is queer. Love is platonic. Love is erotic. Love is asexual. Love confronts evil. Love delights in pleasure. Love touches and weeps and flirts and feeds and creates. Love is risky. Love challenges systemic evil in all its forms. Love is simple but not easy. Love is collective. Love rises up. Love apologizes. Love believes. Love corrects. Love holds accountable. Love pays reparations. Love heals. Love tells its story. Love embraces everyone, every creature, every creation. It knows us intimately. It holds us collectively. Love transcends every boundary that seeks to confine it. It will not tolerate violence in its name. It does no harm. It only sets free. And like any good Gen X minister, it's time for me to ask, now that we've found love, what are we going to do with it?
Good morning. I'm Janet Stevens. I'm a member of Prairie's Finance Committee. Since 1999, Prairie UU has offered itself as a liberal religious light on the prairie. We are a spiritual home that opens our doors and our hearts to those who thirst for authenticity and a connection with the mystery of life. As you know, part of being a community is sharing your time, talent, and treasure. While we can't pass the plate, we do need to continue to receive your pledge payments and other donations. You can do that virtually by going to prairieuu.org/give or texting a dollar amount to 720-730-9388, and you will receive a short series of prompts. Or if you prefer, you can do it the old-fashioned way by sending a check to Prairie UU at P.O. Box 1684, Parker, Colorado 80134. I appreciate your generous gifts. Thank you.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Prairie UU is a mighty and vibrant congregation. We invite you to find us on facebook.com/prairieuU. To learn more about us, you may also go to prairieuU.org and scan the QR code for most up-to-date information. Sunday happenings. Directly after service, there will be fellowship. There will be breakouts for Rhonda, Board/COSM, parents and youth. Our full list of fellowship is on the Prairie calendar. During the learning hour, there will be Lifespan celebrating summer. We have lots of things going on during the week. As usual, the break room and happy hour will be Monday through Friday. Moved to Action will be on Tuesday. Pagan and Curious will be on Friday. The Justice League Annual Retreat Workshop will be next Saturday. And also next Sunday will be a service Sunday. You can visit prairieuU.org/calendar for the most up-to-date information. We want to hear from you. Please complete the Our Sunday Experience survey. The link can be found in the newsletter.
And now for our benediction, which was written by Eric Williams. We all emerge from, dwell within, are transformed by, and called back to love. May your mind be humbled before this mystery. May your heart grow hopeful by it. And may you be sustained by this love always. Amen, and blessed be.
Go lift it up, love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into
This concludes the public streaming portion of our service. You're invited to remain with us via Google Meet if you would like to share our community tradition of candles of community.